Hi, I'm Renee Zev.
And I'm Zev Renee.
We're the owners of the 5K Ranch. We have a growing collection of tiny dwellings out here in Umpqua, Oregon.
I thought somebody was putting me on. It was some sort of reality show. It's like, this chick can't be that cool. What's going on? I played it really cool. It's like, wait a minute, what's up here?
When you waited a long enough time, you know what you're looking for. You know when the right thing comes along, you know what I mean? And you don't have to try and make it the right thing. It is. You're like, oh wait, this is what it's like to have the right person.
A pleasant existence with another person.
Yay.
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 My grandfather's ranch in Eastern Oregon was called the 5K Ranch. There were 5 Kimball brothers. And so that's where the 5K come from. And it was just a great place as a kid growing up. So I just thought, well, I'm gonna use that name. So I made the 5K Ranch. So it's kind of fun. As a kid, I would go up there and my grandfather would be up working in the field or doing whatever, and my grandmother would take some lunch up to him, so I would trot along, and there's all these little trails, and it was just fun. Had cows chasing me, and it was just a cool place, yeah, so.
And you're hoping, you know, our grandkids will enjoy it the same way.
So the 5K Ranch is 160 acres of pretty mountainous, rugged, beautiful terrain here in Umpqua.
Here at the ranch, we have a vintage mobile home. The tiny house you see behind us, the bus we live in, and we're building our first cabin on the property.
So we've had the property for a little over a year, and we're select harvest logging on the property, opening up trails, opening up roads, discovering more really cool places to build more cabins.
So we start out by renovating the mobile home, which we call the retro lounge. It's all done up in 70s decor, and it was so much fun. So we just celebrated the grandness of 1975 Shelby.
Go Bee Gees.
Yeah. So then we brought in this beautiful tiny house behind us and are renting that out as Airbnb, as well as the retro lounge, so that people can experience the property. Our bus is just up the hill where we live, so we kind of have a nice little view of everything. And of course, we're building the cabin at the bottom of the hill. So excited for that. We'll live in that over the winter and start renting that out in the spring as well. I'd love to show you our tiny little home just right up that way. So this is the TinyFest Express. I bought this in the spring of 2020, right as COVID was locking everything down. So I helped with that build in the spring that year and hit the road June of 2020 and have been living in the bus ever since. The bus is a Chevy Express Cutaway 3500, and it's totally off-grid capable. There's 800 watts of solar on the roof and a water tank underneath the sink, wastewater outside. It's super easy to maintain because everything was designed in components, so to speak, like areas. So all of the propane is close together, all of the water is close together. It's really manageable. My previous house, which was a 3,300 square foot house, 5-bedroom, 4-bath, if there was any kind of an issue with plumbing, it was kind of like, I don't know, call the plumber. Now it's, I don't know, let's figure this out. Well, you want to come in and take a look? Welcome inside. This little bus is less than 100 square feet, and though it is teeny tiny, it was actually designed for 2 people to live in, and we designed in a couple of different kind of living areas. So if you don't always want to be right next to each other, you can spread out inside the 100 square feet. So first of all, with two of us, we did put in a little jump seat so the passenger has a nice spot to sit up front. And then the desk area is designed so that I could be doing some work while, you know, he is watching something on YouTube or making a phone call, and we're not, you know, right in each other's ear. Next to the desk, there is a closet, and I have taken over the entire thing. And then the refrigerator rolls out. You just unclick, pull, and it's a nice big fridge that holds a lot of food. So the other side has the bathroom, and there is a shower. You see the shower head, the shower built in, and that's where you put your feet while you're going to the bathroom, and the composting toilet. So it was really a nice, very small space that got in both the shower and the toilet. So then you pass into the living area of the bus, and there's just a lot of space. It opens wide, the kitchen, sink, countertop. This is an extended kitchen counter space that gets used a lot, and the stove right here. But this is the spot that I really sit. I bring my little stool over here and sit. I can also take this off, and I'll put it up sometimes up here and have a standing workspace. That's really nice to be able to switch things up a little bit. Or I can just move it off to the side and have a nice wide open space here. There's a little hook. So I can put that space out of the way, and this is where the dogs sleep. They've got their own little spot right next to the propane heater. And the propane, again, is all together. So they've got the stove, the heater, and then the tank is right under here. One of the great things about the bus is the space and the big windows. These doors open wide open. Let some fresh air and some sunshine in. Ta-da! So this is a great spot to sit and work. You've got the wide world out there in front of you. I am not a huge cook, so I knew I didn't need a lot of kitchen space, but I am glad I have this much. You know, we use the countertops, the sink, cut out the little piece for a cutting board, and that's really handy. I've been able to store a lot of nuts and spices and things for smoothies over here on the shelf, smoothies and salads going on. And then I added, because Zev does like to cook, and he's a great cook. We had some fabulous food last night, and he uses spices a lot more than me. So we added some shelves to be able to kick things up a little bit. So up above the sink, there's food, and this is just crammed full of all kinds of goodies. The pans, there's a hot water heater down here. The pots and pans are stacked up, and a little bit of Tupperware, you know, all the washcloths and everything that you might need. There's always a ton of stuff that you don't think about, you know? You don't always think about where you're gonna put your garbage can or your dirty laundry. That one gets forgotten a lot. So on the other side, we have the couch / bed and a lot of homey touches. You know, we've all the grandkids up here, and every now and then I go and update the photos, which I need to do now, but I love being surrounded by my friends and family and the ones I love. The bed used to be a Murphy bed. I really, really wanted the Murphy bed. I thought it'd be great, you know, space saving, had it flipped up, was trying to design a couch to sit on it. I hated it. But things aren't permanent, nice thing, so tore it out and tried something new. The Murphy bed just didn't work out because of several reasons. It was just awkward to pull it down. It came clear over to here, so you didn't have much space. It was like all or nothing. The other thing is if it was cold outside, your bed was up against the cold windows. So, you know, it's cold out, you bring the bed down and cold. You want to get into a nice warm bed. And if it was hot outside, you flipped it down and everything was hot because it was crammed up against those windows, and it just wasn't working. I built the classic slat bed, you know, you just pull it out. A nice thing with these, you know, you can just pull it out a little bit and have an extra wide couch. Another thing is the bed allowed for storage, so there's drawers under here that you can pull out and cram full of clothes. Too many clothes. I do love all the wood in here. And of course, Zev loves it too. It kind of has a little bit of a cabin feel with the wood on the ceiling and the walls and the floor. But I am glad I left some spaces where the metal of the bus comes through, because metal is so easy to use, magnet things up, you know? You can just hook things on, can move them around easily. Like, I'd rather have that over here. And it just makes it super simple for changing things around and for storage. I have a little window cover that magnets up. There you go. And it just pops out of the way, just as quick and easy. Thanks to the magnets. So having a small space, it's really nice to not have so much to take care of. And I didn't have a yard to worry about. I didn't have a ton of square footage. And now there's a lot. It's been a big change not traveling all the time, not having this home go rolling down the road. And it's been a big change having all the responsibility of all the projects we've decided to take on and the land. There's just been a lot going on the past year, and it is definitely something that you have to kind of just let it soak in and get used to the difference and not let it get to you. That was a challenge.
Well, basically, I like to say I'm an overeducated, semi-retired logger. I like to play in the woods. I like to use my sawmill and mill lumber, like this deck right here. And I'm using all very low impact, I call it certified sustainable origin lumber. I just love doing that stuff. I love taking a log and that looks kind of ugly, and you open it up and oh, it's just beautiful wood. And I run it through the planer and I build a deck, and you create this stuff, you know. The little cabin we're building down there, it's just, I'm like a kid in a toy store. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, you know. But yeah, I've got a master's degree in sustainable business and natural organic resources. I'm applying it every day in what I do, and I just thoroughly enjoy it. I can't imagine if I have any more fun, it'd be ridiculous, probably be illegal. That's about the gist of it right there. And I had this fabulous woman by my side.
I was just thinking the whole time, like, isn't he great? I just love this guy. I love this guy. He's so gracious. Oh, I'm gonna cry. So when I met Zev, he was living in a 200 square foot off-grid cabin over in Coos Bay on this beautiful hill. We still have that cabin and rent it out over there. People love it.
Love it.
They are loving staying there. And it was kind of this nice match to he understood the life that I've been living, which I've been now 7, oh maybe almost 8 years in under 100 square feet. And we're in there together now.
Yeah,
so,
pretty comfortable.
Yeah. So I started out with a little tiny house that I pulled behind my truck. And now I have a bus and travel around and host TinyFest, which is a tiny home and nomad living event. So I think it was, 2016, I decided I wanted to have a tiny house. I've moved a ton in my life. I love to travel. I love being with my family, and I have family in Oregon and in Iowa, and I love to see new things. So it just really suited me to have something that could move with me. Once I got the tiny home, I went to the National Jamboree in Colorado. Just being there and seeing what it was like, I said, we need more of these events. There are only a few of them in the nation at that time, and still are, because I think people need to be exposed to it, you know? And that's one of the great things about having this tiny house as a rental, is people come in and they'll tell me, you know, oh, it's bigger than I thought, or I've been thinking about going tiny, or I've always wanted to stay in one. So it's really fun to, you know, give people that option and let them experience it and decide if it's something they want to do for themselves. So this is the Forest Haven tiny house. It is an Airbnb, and this beautiful little home is 8.5 feet wide, 28 feet long, and it's on a double axle trailer. This home was built by Cool Beans Tiny Homes, and they are just south of us, about an hour and a half down in Medford area of Oregon. So outside of the home, we added a beautiful big cedar deck, which is great to hang out on. It is such a wonderful spot. Shall we go take a look inside? Welcome to the Forest Haven Tiny House. This tiny home is approximately 238 square feet plus the lofts, and it was designed for full-time living. Well, the kitchen is pretty spacious. You can see it takes up a good portion of the house, so that's something I really love about this, is all of the room in the kitchen for, making anything you'd like, for hanging out. In a regular home, you hang out in the kitchen a lot, and that gives you opportunity to do so here. Plus all the woodwork. The countertop is beautiful, and all the blue stained pine is just gorgeous, and it really gives it a very homey, warm feel when you come in. So having a nice big double sink as a standard size can be a real feature. Gives you a lot of room to wash your dishes and dry them without spreading them all over the counter, do prep work. You can do a lot of cooking in a toaster oven. There's all kinds of pans that go in here so you can bake brownies and muffins and, just really make all kinds of meals and treats. So that's great. But there is a hot plate too if, cooking in a toaster oven isn't your gig. So I love the little fridge. It's a little smaller than a standard size fridge, but most things in a tiny house are. And I love the retro vibe of that. Fits really well under the stairs, just built right in there, as well as the cupboards that are under the stairs. They provide a lot of storage room for all your things. So behind me is the living room. It's a nice big space to kick back and relax. There's a television if that's your thing, and the couch has double-ended recliners. You can kick your feet up and just chill here in the middle of the forest. So the space is pretty open and flexible. Some really handy little things like the side tables on each side. You can put your coffee or anything else you'd like. And then again, the open space gives you opportunity to do something like yoga in the morning. Maybe you could play cards. There is a table that you can pop out. Real easy, nice big oversized TV tray. And you could use it to eat a meal, or like I said, play a game of cards, do a puzzle, something like that. For a tiny house, it has a pretty big bathroom. There's a composting style toilet, sink, medicine cabinet, cupboard. There's plenty of room here, some shelves. There was a one-piece unit washer dryer. We did take that out, so we didn't need it for the guests. And a nice big shower. It's pretty solid size. You could have some elbow room in there. Here in Oregon, especially here in Roseburg, we get a lot of rain and humidity. So with all this beautiful wood, we have a dehumidifier that is usually running almost 24/7. It's amazing how much this will pull out of the air and how that helps the home just stay in tip-top shape. The tiny house also has 2 lofts. One is kind of a kid's loft, or what I think of, because it has a single bed up there and a ladder that heads up. And the other has a queen-size bed in it. Both lofts, when we bought the home, had no railing on them, and that made me a little nervous for guests staying. And so we had the railing put in, nice, solid safety rail, but also it doesn't impede the view and the openness feel of the tiny house. So the main loft, the bigger one, has a television up there so you can kick back in bed and watch TV, has 3 windows so you can look out at the beautiful trees, but also allows for a cross breeze. So you've got a window on each side, letting some air flow through, because as we know, hot air rises, and so lofts do have a tendency to get a little bit warm. In addition to the cross breeze, a good ceiling fan, moving the air around will really help a lot as well. We do have also a mini split in the tiny house, which means that there's one unit for heating and cooling, and that works really well in a small space like this. Tiny houses can be pretty expensive. I mean, the price runs the gamut. This one was $50,000.
Which was a bargain.
It was a bargain.
Dobby, are you helping, buddy? You're a good boy. So what we have here is our cabin we're building. It's a 10 by 20 size. The overall plan is to get this finished with some cedar siding, batten board siding. We'll have a deck out front, a covered deck, so when it's raining, we're not getting poured on walking into the cabin. We'll have a nice little parking area here. We'll gravel that so we have a nice little turnaround. We've got the windows facing up the meadow so we can lay in bed and watch the animals run around. On the siding, we're going to be using incense cedar that I buy from the BLM. It's basically a salvage log that if I didn't buy it and process it, it would just lay there and rot. And it's beautiful wood. So that will save us a lot of money. The cedar's quite expensive to buy. Completely off-grid. We'll have solar panels. We'll have it wired inside, of course. We'll have a composting toilet. Very, very simple, but very comfortable. And the total cost of this when we're done might be about $4,000, you know, with me milling all the siding and whatnot, and some more of the framing. Now, if you were to go buy all this lumber, depending on what you bought for siding, you might be in the $6,000, $7,000, even $8,000 range, depending on what you buy for windows and whatnot. So pretty economical, but very comfortable.
Here in Oregon, you can get a gray water use permit. That one's from the state, from the DEQ. It's like $90, and then there's an annual fee, which I hear the annual fee can be waived if you file a report. I haven't had to deal with that. And then composting toilets are allowed as well. And that one's through the local building. So if it's a county or a city or whatever, you know, if you're in a township. And so you can keep it really simple. There are a ton of off-grid properties.
There are people who live off-grid everywhere, and it's one of those things where as long as you've got a building that's under 200 square feet, maximum 10-foot interior wall, you know, you don't need a permit.
Non-habitable.
They call it non-habitable.
They call it non-habitable.
It's a very interesting gray area. And technically, if you call it your full-time residence, it has to meet code. No one calls it their full-time residence. I never did.
It's a hunting cabin.
It's my vacation cabin.
It's a vacation. We're excited to be able to spend the winter in the cabin.
Yep.
So, you know, here in Oregon, it is damp. Very, very, at least in this area. And so being in the bus, it's just, the small space does get a little harder in the winter when it's muddy and dirty, and 2 dogs and a logger.
And a logger.
Bless your heart, as I say in the South. It gets hard with the dirt, but also everything's always damp and never really dries out. We have a propane heater, which we're switching over to a diesel heater, but still, there's nothing like a wood stove, you know? Yeah. We'll live in it over the winter when, you know, Airbnb season is low anyway, so why not enjoy it?
Our vision for the 5K Ranch is, you know, some more tiny cabins so that people can come out and enjoy what this is. I want to share with people the beauty of simplicity, you know, and being out in the fresh air and hiking. It gets you centered and grounded. And
Plus, he wants to build more cabins.
Because I love to build cabins. I want to build a cabin.
I mean, it works for everybody, right? It works for you, it works for everybody.
Of course, motorcycle trails, you know.
Hiking trails, mountain bike
trails.
There's so many options. It's kind of fun just to dream sometimes. Really simplifying for at least a short amount of time can really open your eyes to options and what you want. You know, you get a lot of clarity as to what you want and what's going to work well in your life and what's going to feed your soul, rather than, you know, what's going to look good on the shelf and what the latest style is, and, you know, what piece of decor you need and where you're going to store this or that or this or that or this or that. I mean, it's really amazing how when you reduce the amount of clutter around you and the number of things you own and the kind of just that amount of stuff that you're responsible for, your shoulders are lighter and you're more room in your mind.
Thank you for watching our video and for stopping by Tiny House Expedition. I'm Alexis.
And I'm Christian. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And for more tiny home tours and stories, click the videos below.
And join us on Instagram for bonus content,
including face-to-face conversations with us. We hope to see you there.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.